Actually, I come in the art accidentally. Accidentally because my dream was the West, inspired by Jim Morrison. The West is the best, and my dream was to go abroad and live Western dream. While I was doing that and dreaming, meanwhile, my passion was to look at the library of my father, which was a professor in art academy, and I was looking at the books of different museums and things like that. Also, while he was trying to help me through their friends to get arrangement of a legal immigration at the time, he said, why are you not going to art academy just to practice the drawings, and because you are all the time looking at these museum books, and I started having my confidence on it. Actually, I fell in love with art, which continues like 30 years with the same passion and love. And when I felt in love, as you usually felt in love, you might know this, you stay in that place for some times. So I continued to work for 13 years. I was kind of blind of researching and trying to find myself in this world. After I finished the art academy in Pristina, which was actually, at the time I didn't know that, because I was young and I believed in everything. It was closed on, let's say, 60s, like the end of, like expressionism abstract. We didn't learn nothing more at the school. At the time I was believing that, and because I was educated like that in kind of nationalistic education, like I was just waiting to be discovered. Not me as an artist, but all the nation, like, because Albania was closed, Kosovo was under the political pressure, and I was really believing on it and working very hard. Then, since my way of expression was like abstract expressionist painting, and I was studying the graphics, I went to second degree study in Ljubljana, because in the Pristina we has a very limited possibilities to study the techniques of the graphics. If this question will be a long time ago, it will be like how I said before, that when I was young I was waiting to be discovered. That my thought that was that the art world, they don't know nothing about Balkans. But nowadays I think that being artist in the Balkans is the same shit like being artist everywhere. There are a lot of turning points in my let's say career. First turning point is like when I was studying in Pristina and believing that we Albanians were closed and we have something which to give to the world, which the world doesn't know about us. We have something very special. And I went in Ljubljana, and then I started discovering new things. Things which, when I think now, it's ridiculous, because it's hard history. You should learn it in the school there, because I didn't know in Pristina who the Joseph Beuys is. And I was very curious and ambitious. I was traveling all around with any stupid exhibition and my curiosity about everything. This was the first breaking point was when I went in Ljubljana and I saw that we don't have nothing special. Then, okay, then I started working on lithographs, and since I was kind of orthodox believer on graphics, and very soon, actually, I started being part of the exhibitions which I was dreaming before, like Biennale of Ljubljana Biennale, which was one of the most important graphic biennale in the world. There was a Triennale of Milano, there was a Biennale of Maastricht, and so and so. So I was still kind of national romantic. So I started refusing, because I was educated like that, started refusing exhibition because of the way of my representation of it. I didn't want to be representative of Serbia, Yugoslavia, or whatever. After I finished the studying in Ljubljana, I came back, and very soon, I don't know how, I stopped believing on graphics or painting, because in the same time I was working graphics, paintings. I stopped stopping believing on it because I had a bit more need in myself. I didn't want that my work ends somewhere in the sleeping room of somebody else who buys the book and it's ends. I had a need for more. I believed, I believed very sincerely that you can change the world with your action, with the art. In '96, in a very high political tension between Kosovo and Serbia, because we was living in the same state at the time, and there was no absolute communication, we had an invitation to do a show. And my ambition was comparing to my belief at that time, to send a very, very specific message with the show. Since in that time was the very high political, ethnical tensions between the states, there was no communication at all. So I used the everyday objects which are used everywhere, ethnical objects like barrels, wooden things where they're preparing the cheese or wine or butter, and put the kind of modern element which was looking very happy, and the elements start turning to the bombs. It's called fly fly. So I did a very special installation for the show, kind of warning from my point of view that this ethnic mobilization which is going on, it will turn up at the bomb. Even it was looking, visually very happy. And unfortunately it happens. Like 3 years after, the bombing was there. Then it changed everything. It changed completely everything. Changed my point of view, not about the art, but about completely everything. And the most natural thing was, as an artist at the time, is to deal with the war and consequences of the war. So then I started working on the series, so-called series, the end of expressionism, because I loved expressionism as a beginner on the graphics and expressing your feeling. And somehow my idea was like, if you express your feeling without control, it can be a problem. So that's why I call this cycles dedicated to the word the end of expressionism, because it was a feeling without control, mind control. You might know some of the works. It was starting with the poster which were shown on the National Gallery, this big red painting which looks like Alberto Buri or Antonio Tapia's beautiful abstract painting of the time. But the history behind is like his documentary photo, and title is like The Art of Expressionism, painted by a madman, and technique like one killed person burnt in a red blanket. So the question was like, is it possible that the crime can talk with the visual language of beauty? And there was Milka. Milka was actually conceived much before than the war. When I was invited in the show in '97 in Dodona from Shkeze Malaysia, and at that time there was already fighting around the Peja. We was completely isolated, and the gallery was in Pristina, and he asked me to do a show, and I wanted to do a show called Milka. The original idea at the time was like, I paint the cow as a Milka, and expose live cow in the gallery. But there was impossible to realize at that time, because I even was not allowed to travel to Pristina, so we never do it. So immediately after the war, I did it as a video. I took care in all of the works of the end of expressionism. I never identified who is the killer or whatever. I was trying just to deal with the crimes as a universal thing. One of the latest piece of this part is When the Angels Are Late. From this time I start not believing in art as such, as art can influence anything at all. So one of the latest work of this project, The End of Expressionism, is When the Angels Are Late, which I use the different images, can be Sartre, or for example in Tirana was Rembrandt. It has nothing to do, because the people mix with their religion and with whatever. It has nothing to do with religion, with nothing. My idea was just to confront the illusion which art produced and reality behind. That is all. After the war, we was kind of discovered like exotic artists from the Balkans. There was a lot of exhibition going on immediately, and a lot of invitation which I never dreamed before. Then there was a moment that I didn't want to be identified with someone who, okay, you find Sokol Beqiri, okay, there will be some blood and some killings and some. So I was intensively thinking about to change my expression, which is not easy. So getting from all of that violence, I think the logical way of thinking a new project was called the love sign. So the first project of the love sign was the Fuck You, which is a poster of my family, my father, mother, wife, me and my 3 daughters, which are 7, with semaphore alphabet, and with the national flags, because then the frustration was going on, like when the international community, which you believe it on a full democratic and came, and when this national proud of me, of mine, which I was educated, was dropped out, which I saw that has nothing to do, which I was educated for, and with my trust of international democratic community was also dropped out. And after the war, there was first election coming out, and there was a lot of political fights about the flags. First election, like you can allow your flag and not allow your flag, which was a very stupid question for me. So I decided to do this poster, "Fuck you." First thing was to go out of the killings, and then I saw that it's much more political. It's actually the same thing, but it's more just different pack. There was a project, I was invited in Strasbourg in this workshop, Artistic Mobility and Nomadism in Multicultural Europe, which is a very strange title. And said, okay, let's find what we have. Artistic, mobile, multicultural, nomad, and loves Europe. You know, like in a high school class. And they are prostitutes. They are mobile, nomads, multicultural from everywhere. They love Europe. So I wanted to do the same poster with like I did it with my family, but prostitutes say more sophisticated way, love you, not fuck you, you know? And I confront that. But it was nearly impossible because they didn't want to take photos. And I also did, before I went in that workshop, there was in just 2 days before, it was a scandal with the French port of Kvor, which is international port of NATO, which are north of Mitrovica. The journalists find the plan to divide the Mitrovica with a wall. You know, we thought that the wall ended with a Berlin Wall or whatever. And I took all those plans and I did my imaginary Beqiri construction company, and I involved all the students in a workshop to build a wall to divide Strasbourg. So I did this virtually wall to remind them that like 50 years ago you were the same. And this frustration was going on and going on. So I start seeing that you cannot change nothing with art. That is. For this work, actually, I don't remember somebody important of the world art with have recognized this work, which is one of my favorites to me. It's a result of my, as I told you, step-by-step frustration that with the art you cannot do nothing. It was somehow inspired by a poet of the Walt Whitman called Clear Midnight. The work, it starts with my statement, like, I cannot see art out of myself, which is expressed through behavior to other people. Everything beyond is vanity. So everything which comes out and produced and as a good which can be sold is vanity. So art is everything, only the relationship which we do between me and you now, or between cameraman or whatever. This is part of what we do afterwards or whatever. Everything which I produce from it, it's vanity. It's meant to be sold. Working properly, it's actually the Syria populate is this time of is between there was a Milka and the end of expressionism, and then with love signs, and somewhere in between was this effect which I saw, that changing of statues and monuments and heroes. So it was an ambition to find an international hero who is loved among, because usually we don't love Serbian heroes. Serbian heroes don't love our heroes. Muslim heroes don't love Jewish, whatever. So normally you search hero among you and then among your nation, and I think the hero should be somebody who did international good. There is a project which I will have a luck or be invited. I would like to do a monument of the new hero, starting, because you always start from your point of view. So, starting from your point of view, it's starting from being Albanian, and so and so. If I will start from my nationality to find among my nationality hero, it will be Farid Murad. Is a guy who was leading to discover Viagra. I would like to make him a statue because he led to discover Viagra, and we make happy people all around the world, no matter of the nation, religion, or whatever. After I got the invitation for Documenta, which was actually the biggest dream in my life before. I never thought that I could be there anyway. And after the talking to the Adam, he decided some of the works. He said he liked some of the project which we didn't talk here, which I did it with a specific meaning, political, like in Virtual Veritas in Cetinje, or the Chiri's Love Shop in the Strasbourg, or whatever. Said, can you please think, after he choose some of the works which he would like to show in Documenta, can you please try to give me a new project, specific project for. So it kind of, it was like provocation to me, because, I mean, I cannot, I must admit that it's illness. I can still not stop thinking visually. It's 30 years, I mean. But after he asked for this, and there was 13 years I was telling that the art is nothing. There is a craft, there is nothing special in art. The artist, the only mission of art is to give a proof that the art doesn't exist and things like that. It was kind of challenge for me. Okay, what should I propose? I said, okay, I remembered the idea, after I read the concept of Documenta, global crisis, which is reflected through German-Greece relationship. The first idea which came of my mind, it was like 20 years ago in Rene Block exhibition, George the Balkan. We was 9 artists from Kosovo, which was highest number of artists ever internationally invited. One of the young artists at the time came on the opening, and suddenly Rene Block didn't want to show his work, and he was completely frustrated. While we was drinking in front of Frediciano, it was 2002 or 1, I don't know exactly, and we was drinking and this thing, and in his frustration he said, there was a 2 famous Joseph Boys tree plant. He said, it will be so good if I take some branches from those trees and do the grafting in my village. And I said, it's a beautiful idea, and we was talking and it stopped. When I got the invitation, first idea was this, and I invited the artist, and I said, okay, do you remember this time and this time? He said, yes. I said, will you sell me this idea? And he said, oh, you are not in the market? I said, yes, but I have an invitation from Documenta, and my concept is I want to buy an idea. You will be visible there for sure. I will not hide like your idea. You will be visible. For me, it was the most important part of the project to be that I'm buying an idea. It's a process of economic process, whatever you want. And then I did a video work, which was again problem. I don't want to describe all the details. I went in the castle, took in the March, or I don't know exactly the month. In the time I took the branches from the Joseph Beuys trees, and before that I was searching of the important tree in the Athens, which have some kind of historic meaning. I didn't want to marriage Joseph Beuys with any tree, you know. And first tree which I found, it was somewhere in the mountains around, I think it's called Adonis. Actually, history was like one of the oldest trees in Europe, nothing else. And then through my assistance, we could not find a tree but we find the place which is holy place kind of for Athenians called Polytechnion, this university where all the revolution in Greece happened. So I said, okay, let's plant a new tree in this holy place where everything happened. And I went in Greece, I went in castle, took the branches, and I plant a new tree in Polytechnion, and implant the branches from Joseph Beuys. But in the same time, I took the branches of my tree in castle and went back in Athens and went back in castle and implanted in the Joseph Beuys tree. So the Joseph Beuys is not 100% now Joseph Beuys. My main idea was to give one of the argument which I was telling all this year, that art is nothing special. You just need where to buy, how to pack, and where to sell. It's illusion 100%, but I don't know why it became this kind of religious, you know, for some people who don't believe in religion or kind of ideology, it came behind of kind of church of, you know, that making art is peace. It's the same problem like making an hamburger. I said this 100 times. It's the same process. Making a composition structure. You have colors here, canvas. You have a grill and colors like meat, onions, pepper, whatever. So success depends on how successful you mix all these ingredients in the structure, rhythm. It's the same thing. Like you put some red on canvas, you put some meat. You put some white here, you put some onion. You let the color dry. It's half done burgers. And difference is that you eat an hamburger without seeing it in the museum and don't think about the energy and because the guy who is doing hamburger don't have a reputation of an artist. Once you see the painting in the museum, you immediately think that, oh, what is behind? And who is someone who decides what paintings should be shown? I think it's a waste of money. I don't have a plan. I don't have an ideas. I think sometimes, not sometimes, all the times. I think visually. It has damaged one of the part of my, but no plans.